Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome to first ever virtual PMRC Bay Area. My name is Rafat Rahmani. I'll be co-presenting this slides today and this talk today with my colleague Kasia. The topic is primary market research in the COVID world. As an introduction to myself, I am the owner and founder of Lifescience Dynamics. I've been in industry for nearly 25 years, and we've started the company in 2004, and we've been going for 16 years. Prior to founding Lifescience Dynamics, I used to work for a consulting firm where I was VP for consulting. And then prior to that, I used to work for Eli Lilly and Company. As an educational background, I have an MBA from Manchester Business School and a BBA from University of Houston. My colleague, Kasia Kogzula, she is a senior consultant based in our London office. She has a PhD in oncology from University of Birmingham and a master's in medicinal biotechnology. You all must have seen and are now over the 6 months, I've become very familiar to this image. This is the image of coronavirus outbreaks and hotspot around the world from Johns Hopkins University. So just to set the scene and the background, let's talk about outside of pharmaceutical in the bigger worldwide, what's going on. So clearly online media and grocers and technology were the winners, and that we see that they will continue to grow. So let's quickly talk about healthcare. There's been a widespread adoption of telehealth, online consultation, and we expect this trend to continue. The areas that has done really poorly where there is no intermediation, means like you have to go there in person, such as restaurants or hair salons or nails. And as we all know, during this lockdown, how many times we have tried to cut our own hair or do our ladies who have done their own nails, not going to salons or pedicure. In terms of before the lockdown, already we had seen brick and mortar stores being closed because of the pressure from online commerce, e-commerce, online shoppers, companies like Amazon. But customer shopping habits have now shifted more online, and they find the convenience of doing online shopping. But absolutely, the clear winners have you all logged on, nothing to do. We inside the house. We all were really binging on the Netflixes and Amazon Primes. I'm sure we all have exhausted our watch list. The other sector has taken a big hit was, of course, travel and hotel. And then slowly people started doing domestic travel, but they're still concerned about the sanitation and safety and health. We see that in future the international travel will come, but it will be more expensive because airlines have cut down their staff. They have decommissioned many planes. In UK, British Airways have decommissioned all their jumbos, Boeing 747. That has knock-on effect on the engine manufacturers, aircraft manufacturers, and all the support. In terms of housing, we have seen the millennials go back to their moms and dad, the single millennials, because they could work from home. And the short-term leases they have terminated, but in higher income there is a trend of single household, single family purchases. Of course, there's an explosion and real uptake on the online conferences such as Microsoft Teams, WebEx, Zoom, and Google Meet. This talk is coming to you via WebEx. And in terms of the Apple, so in terms of formal attire, such as suits and ties and things like that, and a lady's suit, they all have taken a tumble. Instead, casual wear, athleisure, and outdoor apparel has really picked up during this lockdown. So what this has impacted on slower consumer growth and spending growth and structural unemployment. And people are focusing on value and convenience. So if you look at how that has impacted other things, so dispersion, so for example, people have moved away from big cities, so people don't need to be in San Francisco or New York cities, and they've gone to their outside and much more convenient places, and they can work remotely. This has a knock-on effect on the commercial office real estate, especially in the central business districts such as CBDs. And this might come in the future, but we see there is a significant reduction in the big offices. In terms of technology, of course, there's a clear winners. So if you look at all the stocks that are winners in the last 6 months were technologies. And what has focused is we all now doing what is really needed, what is essential, bare minimum. So this is essentialism. So we will meet only if there has to be safe and is absolutely necessary and essential. So including the consultation, and also this has an impact on those places where you have to come in person, such as distribution center or factories. There's also requirement for increasing the quality of the air filtration, and also the heating and air conditioning system, so that the fresh air and recirculation of air is much more frequent. So now let's come back to our pharmaceutical market research and what's happening to our respondents and things like that. So we are living in new normal. So at the beginning of the pandemic, all face-to-face methodology was stopped or cancelled. All the sales representatives stopped calling on their doctors, or and so that was like in the first few months. But going forward, all the physicians who were working in the intensive care ICU units, such as emergency room and accident and emergency, such as anesthesiologists, pulmonologists, and chest physicians, were super duper busy. So, but what that meant was that all non-urgent and other elements that normally would go to hospital for treatment or see their physician were either postponed or cancelled. This liberated a lot of time from other specialty who were not working in ICUs, such as GPs, cardiologists, pediatricians, neurologists, etc. And they were much more so than all non-intensive care physicians had lots of time, and they were more eager to participate in market research. As we enter winter in Northern Hemisphere, the COVID-19, as you can see, the data is really spiking in almost all Western world, whether it's US or Western Europe. And we see a further complicating in-person research and presenting new unforeseen challenges that we all have to navigate as an industry. So, however, if market research is continued to be conducted online via tailored, precisely evolving requirements, we will be able to target a specific respondent types in a specific geography of interest. So that's great. So let's, excuse me. Let's continue with the new normal and look at the physicians first, and we will talk about patient in a minute. So if you look at the x-axis, I have put it in 3 buckets: March and April, May, June, and July onwards. And on the x-axis is uncertainty and complexity. And if you look at the concerns mount over the spread of virus. So in initial stages, it was panic and confusion, utter confusion. People were not knowing what to do. Everything paused, stopped. As people became living with the lockdown, then in the middle stage, so there was no market research were done to the physicians who were working in intensive care. But as we moved on to July onwards, all physicians became available, but almost all the pent-up demand has come, and there's almost all field agencies. So I spoke to 11 field agencies, I've interviewed and researched 11 field agencies to prepare today's talk, and you can see almost all said that they're all super duper busy with the work. So now let's talk about the patients. In the early stage, they were really lonely and bored, but pharma was very cautious. And at that time, we had a phenomenal response from the patient. Almost 90% wanted to participate in a research because they had time on their hand, they were lonely and bored. And as we moved into May, June, the response rate fell down a bit, but still they were very eager and wanted to share their experience. And now, as I see, the response rate has come down a little bit more further, but they are available, willing to share, and we have seen some inpatient in-home visitation market research, and basically they've been locked down for nearly 6 months, 4 months, or whatever, and they are very eager to meet another human being, and but obviously with social distancing and all the safeguards. Now let's look at the impact of COVID-19 on primary market research. And this is based on the survey done by the Survey Healthcare, and it's based on 796 respondent responses. So if you look at willingness to, and this research was done before going to the summer holiday in August. So it was done towards the end of July period. So if you look at the data, it's overwhelmingly showing that physicians were willing to participate in research. If you look at 3 block categories on online, phone, Zoom screen, I'll give you a moment to look at it. If you look at the US, online, 97% said they would be willing, they will do the online. Phone, 78%, Zoom share, and sort of like 77%. But if you look at some of the countries, like on some of the European countries, you see the stark difference between Germany and in terms of the online versus phone versus Zoom share. It drops in almost half. But overall, the physicians were markedly more willing to participate in online research and compared to phone or screen share, because online research works on their own time, on their own schedule. The majority of physicians were unwilling to participate face-to-face research as expected. But if you look at the face-to-face willingness to participate, if you look at US, were leading the pack with 51% of physicians that they were willing to do a face-to-face, versus if you look at France, which was 30%. So this is the two extreme of the spectrum. If you look at the data here, in terms of why they didn't want, one was obviously they wanted to save time, too time consuming. They were concerned about how clean or infection free are the facilities. So let's talk about physician and patient adaptation during the COVID pandemic. So during pandemic, telemedicine became really increasingly popular with the majority of patients being pleased with the outcomes and despite of perceived lower effectiveness. UK led the way. Pretty much all GP visitation or primary care visitation in UK were, I can attest to that, were stopped. And we all had to do teleconsultation. Of course, they cannot do in-person inspection of the body or the some of the issues. But in terms of whether they are pleased or reluctant, so this also correlates with one on the left-hand side. If you look at the US, they were much more reluctant to do telehealth versus they want to do more person. But if you look at UK, the story is mixed. So overall, the telehealth visits have made routine visits easier for patients. They've reduced the commuting time, and also reduce the anxiety to be around other infected patients so that you do not catch COVID-19. So this has helped. So most healthcare professionals had virtual interaction with the sales rep during this, and almost 56% said that had virtual interaction versus 44 had no virtual interaction. So physicians expect to see reps with more limitation. and some of the physicians recommended that the reps have to come in PPEs to visit. So we will see how this continues overall, but generally the physicians are feeling that things could go to business as usual, but the jury is out. This is based on the 27 respondents. So with that, I would like to thank you, and I'd like to hand over to my colleague Kasia. So from here, Kasia will take over the discussion around, in this world of pandemic, in this world of lockdown, how would virtual tool be effective? As you saw in the data, that the online solution was highly liked and by the physician, because it works on their timetable, it works on their schedule, and it has the flexibility and convenience for that. So with that, I want to say thank you very much, and I will see you towards the end of the Q&A. So over to Kasia. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafat, and good morning, everyone. In this part of the presentation, I would like to introduce you to our online market research tool, AdBoard. It can be used for both advisory boards as well as focus groups. AdBoard is an intuitive cloud-based tool that allows us to harness the power of collective thinking and create deeper insights. As you can see here, the interface is very user-friendly and very easy to follow, even for the first-time users. Our AdBoard projects usually run for about 3 to 5 days, and each day we are posting a series of questions. And that's why here on the top panel, you can see the days and corresponding questions, and you can very easily maneuver between them. Here in the left side panel, you can have some specific instructions, as well as any optional background material. You may want to have some exhibits that participants should review before answering your questions. In the main part in the middle of the screen, you can finally see our questions. And here, for example, we have a single choice question followed by an open-ended explanation. One of the most important features of AdBoard is the fact that participants have to reply to moderators' probes in order to be able to move to the next question. This allows moderators to be very confident that all of their probes will be answered. Another very important feature is the fact that clients can log in as observers. They can see the discussion happening live, and they're also able to read their comments. Observers' comments will only be seen by moderators. And throughout the discussion, our participants are encouraged to comment on each other's answers and create discussions. However, if they wish so, they can flag their answers as private, and then it will only be seen by moderators. Quantitative questions such as surveys or rankings can be utilized to supplement the written discussion. And it's very important to note that AdBoard allows for user-friendly access across all platforms, maximizing the respondent input. This means that all that participant needs is a web browser. They simply receive a personalized hyperlink via email, and through this hyperlink, they can access their board. Now I would like to show you 2 examples of participants' experience, followed by one from moderator. So after clicking on the personalized link, participants join the board. They can see some general instructions, and they can access first question. Here we will see participants answering a series of simple single choice questions before moving on to the next part. After they posted their answer, they can see answers from others and they can start discussion. Now we can see that the pop-up window suggests that there is a reply from moderator. The participant will click on the red bar to refresh the page, and they see moderator's question. After replying to the moderator's probe, they can move on to the next question. In the second participant experience, we will see a slightly different situation. Here, participants want to answer question number 3. However, they will not be able to move farther because they haven't replied to moderator's question for the day before. Here we'll see that in this pop-up window, they have no other options but reply to moderator's probe. After this, they're able to continue with their questionnaire. Now let's have a look at moderator's view, which is pretty much very similar. We can see that the moderator already has some replies, and additional feature on the moderator's interface is this statistics. You can see that for all closed questions, our statistics will be changing in the real time, which is very useful. We see that participant is, the moderator is adding some probe. And they received a pop-up message letting them know that additional answers are available. You can either refresh the feed or click on the red bar in order to load the new content. Each of the messages, after moderator is happy with it, can be marked as read in order to keep track of the answered questions. Moderator is also informed about any activity between participants. For example, here we can see that patient 5 replies to the comment from patient 2. Now I would like to highlight that our board is not only compatible with laptops or tablets, but it was designed specifically to be very easily used on mobile phones. And indeed, we see that almost 40% of our participants answered to some of the questions using their mobile devices. Some of the, besides surveys, some of the other types of questions that we can use are rankings or media sharing. We can, for example, ask participants to record the videos of themselves, and that can be quite useful if you want to collect, for example, patients' journeys. On the right side of the slide, you can see examples of medical device images as well as TPP. For those kind of visuals, we very often suggest using heat map feature, which allows to gather specific feedback by participants pinning their comment on a specific part of the image that they find particularly interesting. Now I would like to walk you through some other types of questions, starting with a simple rating. You can use many different versions, for example, scale, drop-down menu, or a simple buttons. You can also add a text box. As always, after answering to questions, participants can see answers from others. In this example here, I wanted to show that we can also program conditional questions, meaning that depending on which answer will be chosen in the first question, different follow-up questions will appear. Moving on to question 4, here I wanted to demonstrate how easy it is for participants to review any background materials. They simply click on them and they pop up in the main window. If you would like participants to review larger PDF document, it will be opened in the new tab of the browser. Question 5 represents the heat map question. You can see that participants is looking at the image and pinning the comment in some particular part of the image that they would like to leave a comment on. And as always, when they scroll down, they can see answers from others. And finally, in the question 6, we have a ranking question. Participants simply click on the answers If they make a mistake, they can press the red cross and start again. If they want to rearrange their answer, they simply follow gray arrows up and down. And when they are satisfied with the answer, they submit it. Now I would like to talk a little bit more about the systematic workflow of our projects. Of course, we're starting with a setup, creation of discussion guide. Usually we recommend around 20 questions, and around 1 to 3 discussion topics are uploaded daily for 3 to 5 days, as mentioned before. I want to highlight that we indeed can be very flexible with this. If, for example, after day 1, we observe that there is some interesting discussion going on, we can feedback to our client and suggest maybe changes of some questions for the following day. Moving on to fieldwork, participants will log in daily to answer questions and respond to moderators' probes, and they will also interact with each other. Moderators will monitor the board around the clock to ensure that questions are answered and to probe for further responses or clarifications. In the meantime, our observers will also log in and will follow the discussion live and leave moderators' comments if they wish to. This will help us to reduce the email traffic during this very busy time. Finally, when all the comments are collected and all the probes are answered, we can download the transcript either in a Word document format or in Excel format. And after that, in the last step, our skilled analyst will prepare a graphical report, including executive summary, conclusions, and recommendations specific for our clients. Of course, AdBoard and any other online solution has a very many advantages over traditional research. And here I would like to mention a few of them, starting with deeper insights. We believe that when participants type in their answer, they are more measured, considered, and reasoned. We also know from our experience that time pressure targets who don't usually participate in research are much more willing to participate in AdBoard due to flexibility of time and place. Time efficiency is another advantage. Our AdBoard studies allow faster recruitment and no need to book and organize central location. Flexibility, of course, like with any other online platform, it is available 24 hours and it gives a great flexibility for participants and clients. Global reach. Our cloud-based architecture removes barriers of geography and physical distance. It's also worth adding that our platform has built-in translation for up to 15 native languages. Finally, user-friendly interface. I hope you will agree with me that it's very easy to follow as it's based on the ease of popular social media interface, allowing enhanced user experience. Just to mention very briefly costs of AdBoard. Typically, from our experience, AdBoard would cost 1/3 less compared to like-for-like interviews in central location. And I mentioned before, and I just want to repeat one more time, that AdBoard can be used not only for advisory boards, but also for focus groups. We have a slightly different interface, allowing for up to 15 participants to join and discuss during the live chat. And here I just wanted to show some quotes from our participants. They say that it's a great opportunity to meet and take part in a debate with peers as well as with experts in different specialties. They really love the fact that they can exchange their ideas and debate. They're able to comment and review peers' responses, and they find it really enjoyable. I have to say that we have a few projects with multiple waves of research, and we can see a very high turnaround of the same participants, which suggests that they really enjoy the process. Now, in comparison to physical advisory boards, which take place in central location, Many lengthy procedures can be reduced when using online solution. Using virtual advisory boards makes it easier to recruit and to coordinate participants due to the speed, efficiency, and opportunity for remote participation. As a result, our clients get the data faster as they're more concise due to immediacy of transcripts. Finally, I would like to show some of the quotes from our happy clients and just to highlight the features that they value the most. First of all, flexibility and possibility to see the interaction live. They really love following the discussion as, of course, they're curious what the answers will be. They also highlighted cost effectiveness and again, fast results. I think we were always aware how useful our AdBoard tool is. However, these days during the COVID pandemic, we appreciate it even more and we see that it's even more popular. With that, I would like to thank you very much for your attention and invite everyone for Q&A.